You send the text. Minutes turn into hours. You see her online, posting, liking, laughing, but not a single word back to you. Feels like rejection, right? Wrong. What you're feeling isn't rejection. It's a trap. Because silence is never neutral. It's either indifference or manipulation. And if you think backing off earns you respect, you've already surrendered the frame. She's not ignoring you to end things. She's ignoring you to see if you'll lose your center. Every unread message becomes a string. And every second you wait, you wrap that string around your own throat. This isn't texting. It's power dynamics. And if you don't learn to recognize the game, you'll keep losing to women who haven't even said a word. But I'm here to change that and show you how silence can become your sharpest weapon. Because in this video, I'm not just giving you coping tips. I'm handing you a mindset so sharp it cuts through emotional manipulation. You'll learn how to take back the frame, how to stay calm when most men fall apart, and how to flip the power dynamic without sending a single extra text. If you've ever felt powerless in the face of a woman's silence, this is where you end that cycle. So don't just watch, pay attention, because the next few minutes might just make you untouchable. Let's get something brutally clear. A woman's silence is rarely about confusion. It's rarely about her being too busy. And it sure as hell isn't about you doing something wrong. It's about power, control, leverage. You see, in the psychology of modern dating, silence has become a weapon. And most men don't even realize they're being shot at. They think they're in a normal situation. Maybe she's thinking, maybe I came on too strong. But what's really happening is a silent shift in dynamics. She's pulling back, not to walk away, but to see how far you'll come chasing. And here's where the game turns dark. The moment you start overthinking her silence, you already lost. Not because you said the wrong thing, not because you weren't good enough, but because you gave her the psychological upper hand without her lifting a finger. Let's break this down even deeper. When a woman goes quiet, she creates a vacuum. And here's the thing about vacuums. Weak men rush to fill them with texts, with validation, with emotional performances to prove they're still worthy. But every time you chase, you reinforce one thing. She controls how you feel. It's subtle but powerful. She disappears for a few hours and you spiral. She doesn't reply to your message and you start analyzing every word. You change your tone. You try harder. You apologize for things you didn't do. And without saying a single word, she's already bent your emotions around her silence. Why do women do this? Because they can. Because silence gives them feedback. It tells them how attached you are, how desperate, how much you need their attention to feel secure. And to some women, this isn't malicious. It's instinctual. It's how they test for strength without ever admitting it. They're not consciously saying, let me ignore him to see if he's weak. But deep down, something is watching your every move. And you know what most men do? They break. They text again. They send the just checking in message. They lose sleep. They let their self-worth hang on a reply that never comes. You want to know the truth? Most of the time, her silence has nothing to do with you. She might be bored. She might be validating herself by watching you squirm. She might be juggling 10 guys in her DMs and forgot you existed for a second. Or maybe she's just not emotionally mature enough to handle honest communication, so she vanishes instead. But here's the most dangerous lie you'll tell yourself. If I wait long enough, she'll come around. That belief keeps you locked in a psychological prison. It keeps you hoping, waiting, reacting, and that is exactly where she wants you. You become predictable, powerless, available, and once you're available, you're invisible. Now, I'm not telling you to become cold, bitter, or manipulative. I'm telling you to wake up, to recognize the game that's being played, so you stop being the pawn and start becoming the player. Because when you finally accept that her silence isn't personal, you stop personalizing it. And that's when the shift begins. She goes quiet. You get quieter, not out of spite, but out of control, emotional control. She wants attention? Let her wonder why yours disappeared. She wants a reaction? Give her stillness. And if she walks away completely, let her. Because a man who respects himself never begs for attention. Let's get real. Silence isn't just about withholding attention. It's about control through emotional reaction. When a woman ignores you, she's not just stepping back, she's watching. Watching if you'll flinch. Watching if you'll break character. Watching if you'll expose your emotional dependence. Because the moment you react, you confirm everything she needed to know about your weakness. Let me explain what most men never realize. Silence is a test, and not just any test. It's a test of emotional resilience, of status, of leverage. You think you're just being ghosted, but what she's really doing is flipping the roles. She becomes the one who's deciding while you start proving. And here's how the trap works. She goes quiet. You feel uncertain. Did I mess up? You double text, trying to clear the air. She doesn't reply. Again. You go into anxiety mode, overanalyzing everything. You send another message. Maybe this time more apologetic, more casual. Still no response. Now your entire self-worth hinges on her next move. She says nothing, and still she's running your entire emotional system. That's the power of the emotional trap. It doesn't need noise. It feeds off your silence breaking. The real manipulation isn't in what she says. It's in how she creates enough space for you to start justifying, chasing, performing. And here's the harsh truth. The more you try to fix it, the more broken you look. A woman doesn't need to send 10 messages to test you. She just needs to do one thing. Nothing. Because nothing is what makes a man question everything. You'll start replaying conversations. You'll blame yourself. You'll ask friends for advice. You'll watch videos like this, trying to decode her silence like it's some encrypted message. But here's what you need to hear. Her silence isn't complicated. It's calculated. Even if she's not consciously trying to manipulate you, she feels what that silence does. She knows the power it gives her, and she won't hesitate to use it. And the worst part? You teach her how to treat you every time you react. If your first instinct is to apologize for things you didn't do, if you start trying harder the moment she pulls away, if you reward her withdrawal with more effort, you've already shown her, I'll fight for crumbs. And once she knows that, she'll never serve you the full meal again. That's how women maintain emotional leverage without ever saying a word. They retreat and let you do all the work. But let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly respected someone who needed your response to feel okay? You didn't, and neither does she. Respect is built when you can hold your frame, when you don't chase silence, when you don't beg for clarity, when you say without words, I'm not emotionally available for games. Because when a woman sees that her silence doesn't break you, she starts questioning the power she thought she had. And the truth is, that's what separates men who react from men who command respect. Silence is her test. Stillness is your answer. Here's where the game flips. She goes silent. You do nothing, and that silence, it hits harder than any clever reply ever could. This isn't passive, it's strategic restraint, because in a world where everyone is reacting, stillness becomes dominance. Let me make this crystal clear. The most powerful move when she ignores you is to not move at all. Don't follow up. Don't double text. Don't call to clear the air. And definitely don't post something just to bait her attention. You don't play defense in a game you didn't start. You stand still and force her to reveal her intent. Why does this work? Because silence creates discomfort. But the one who controls that discomfort controls the frame. She expected you to react, to panic, to need her attention to feel stable. But when you don't even flinch, that's when the tables turn. Because now you become the unknown. You become the question mark. And trust me, Mystery is power. Let's go deeper. By not reacting, you communicate a core truth. My value doesn't shrink when someone disappears. That message is loud, even when it's silent. Most men don't get this. They confuse silence with weakness. They think doing nothing means being forgotten. But here's the twist. The moment you start reacting, you make her the center of your world. And the moment she becomes your center, you stop being hers. Emotional leverage isn't taken, it's surrendered through reaction. Let me give it to you straight. The man who can sit in silence without seeking validation is the man no woman can manipulate. She texts you at 2 a.m., you don't respond. She views your story, you don't post for attention. She disappears, you focus harder on your mission. That's how power looks. And no, this isn't about playing games. It's about living by principle. You don't chase what's uncertain. You attract by being unshakable. Because the moment you stop seeking, you become the thing she starts searching for. Now you might ask, but what if she never replies? What if I lose her forever? Let me answer that with another question. What exactly are you losing? A woman who tested your value through silence? A woman who needed to see you chase before she showed basic respect? That's not a loss. That's clarity. And clarity is freedom. You're not here to earn interest through desperation. You're here to embody value so deeply that anyone who can't match it disqualifies themselves. And here's the paradox. When you stop chasing, she starts wondering. When you hold your frame, she starts losing hers. When your silence is stronger than her games, she either levels up or backs off. Either way, you win. Because you didn't flinch, you didn't chase, you didn't beg. You stood still and made your peace louder than her silence. And that is how real men respond when tested. Here's a secret that most men will never understand. When you stop chasing, you don't lose her. You make her question everything. But here's the twist. It's not about ignoring her out of spite. It's about mastering your presence by removing it. Because silence, when used with purpose, is not just absence. It's pressure, it's uncertainty, it's psychological leverage. Let's break it down. When she ignores you, most guys panic. They think, if I don't say something, I'll lose her. So they double text, they explain, they try to win her back through effort. What does that tell her? That she's the prize, that her withdrawal works, that your self-worth depends on her attention. But when you do the opposite, when you don't chase, don't react, and don't explain, you flip the frame. Suddenly, you become the mystery. You become the question she didn't expect to ask. Why isn't he chasing me? Did he move on? Is he seeing someone else? Was I not as important as I thought? That's reverse psychology. Real reverse psychology. Not games, not manipulation, but a demonstration of value through non-neediness. And here's why it works. The human brain craves resolution. When someone pulls away and we chase, they feel secure, validated, predictable. But when we pull back in response, without bitterness, without pettiness, we create dissonance, uncertainty, curiosity. And that's when they start obsessing. You see, she expected your attention to be automatic. Like most men she ghosts. They keep coming back. But now you're quiet. Not out of weakness, but strength. Not because you're angry, but because you're focused. You're not playing hard to get. You are hard to get because your time, energy, and emotional availability are limited and earned. Let's go further. Instead of chasing her silence, you chase your goals. You go harder in the gym. You start something new. You upgrade your circle, your wardrobe, your mindset. And all of a sudden, the man she once controlled with a 3-hour delay in reply is nowhere to be found. You've evolved. And that's when she starts chasing you. You post something real, not for her, but for you. You're out with friends, thriving, unbothered. No captions aimed at her, no emotional subtext, just presence and peace. That kind of composure, it breaks the pattern. And breaking the pattern forces her to recalibrate her assumptions about you. Here's the paradox. The more silent you become, the louder your absence echoes in her mind. And when, not if, she reaches back out, you don't jump. You don't reply right away. You respond calmly, controlled, unattached. No passive-aggressive remarks. No, where have you been? Just, hey, all good. You're not restarting the game. You're finishing it. On your terms. Because now she's wondering, did I lose him? Why doesn't he seem affected? Was I just an option to him? And that's the shift. She went from feeling in control to questioning everything. You didn't ghost her. You didn't manipulate. You simply removed your energy from someone who couldn't meet your standard. And in doing so, you became unforgettable. That's not toxic. That's self-respect in motion. So remember, reverse psychology isn't about pretending. It's about positioning. And the most powerful position a man can hold is one where his attention is no longer up for grabs. This is where most men lose the game. Not in what they say, not in how they text, but in what they need from the result. They don't want just a reply. They want reassurance, closure, validation that they were enough. And that's the trap. Because as long as your peace depends on her response, you're owned. You might look composed. You might act stoic. But deep down, you're still waiting for her to give you something that only you can give yourself. Emotional security. So let's flip that. Let me introduce you to the most powerful shift in mindset you'll ever make. Detachment. What is detachment? It's not apathy. It's not coldness. It's not pretending you don't care. Detachment is emotional independence. It's the ability to want something without needing it to feel okay. It's the mindset that says, I'd like her to reply. But if she doesn't, my day, my focus, and my value stay intact. That's real power. Because now she has no leverage. She can ghost you, flake, go cold, and your response is calm, composed, and unbothered. Not because you're playing it cool, but because you've done the inner work to not make her reaction your measurement of worth. Here's the truth. Attachment creates anxiety. The more attached you are to how she should respond, the more volatile your emotions become. You check your phone obsessively. You interpret silence as rejection. You turn every hour without a reply into a blow to your confidence. That's not attraction, that's addiction, and it keeps you in her orbit, even when she's gone. But when you detach, you unplug the control cord she's been using to steer your emotions. She ghosts you. You don't spiral. She takes 3 days to reply. You don't start performing for attention. She loses interest. You don't lose your edge. You stay steady. And in that steadiness, you become untouchable. Detachment says, I no longer build my peace on someone else's unpredictability. It's the difference between confidence and dependence. Now here's where it gets real. When you fully detach, you stop asking, what did I do wrong? And start asking, was she even worth the investment? You stop trying to win her back and start wondering if you even want her back. Because once the fog clears, you'll see things you ignored. The subtle red flags, the lack of consistency, the low effort behind the flirting, the emotional games. You were so attached to getting her, you never stopped to ask if she was actually good for you. Detachment gives you clarity, and clarity gives you standards. From that place, you don't chase, you don't react, you choose. You choose peace over chaos, self-respect over attention, power over insecurity. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop caring about the outcome is the moment everything shifts in your favor. Because the man who can walk away without resentment is the man she remembers. The one who didn't need her to feel valuable. The one who didn't lose himself trying to win her. The one who stood grounded while she played games. And even if she never comes back, You already won. Because you proved to yourself that your worth is not up for negotiation. And no woman, no silence, no unread message will ever shake that again. Let's rewind the whole thing. She ignored you. You felt it. The pull, the spiral, the urge to reach out, that craving for closure, for clarity, for one last reply to make it all make sense. But now, you've seen through it. It was never about what you said. It was about how much you needed her response to feel secure. And that, right there, is where you handed over your power. But not anymore, because now you know, a woman's silence isn't your enemy. It's your mirror. It shows you exactly where you place your value, and whether or not you've been giving that power away. And from this point forward, you don't. You don't chase attention. You don't beg for replies. You don't seek validation in empty spaces. You become so focused on building your life that no amount of silence can pull you off track. That kind of energy, it's not just rare. It's dangerous to anyone who thought they could toy with your emotions. Because here's the truth. When a man learns to stay grounded in the face of indifference, he becomes emotionally untouchable. And that's when women start chasing. Not because you manipulated, but because you finally stopped performing. So if this video spoke to something deep inside you, if you're done waiting, overthinking, and breaking yourself for women who don't show up, then speak on it. Drop your story in the comments. Tell me how you handled the silence and how you should have. There's a man reading that comment right now who needs to see that he's not alone. Maybe you'll be the wake-up call he didn't get from her. And if you're ready to rise, to become the kind of man who doesn't flinch, who doesn't chase, who doesn't fold, then hit that subscribe button. Because this isn't just a channel, it's a code, a mindset, a brotherhood built on emotional sovereignty. You don't need her to see your worth. You need to become the man who never questions it again.